All right, you guys hear me okay? It looks like my levels are working. There we go. Sorry about the rough start there. I got a million things going on today. I had to push the stream time up a little bit because I have a meeting to get to at 6 o'clock, and I didn't want to be cutting it too close with the stream ending right at 6, because we all know it runs over a little bit. So hope everybody's doing well. It's hump day, and we're back with another stream here. I got my resident pooch. You know I'm talking about you, don't you? Just laying down there. If he's good, he'll get a treat at the end of the stream, just like we try to do. Anyways, so my Ender 6 is back online. Yep, I'm happy with that. Last printer I got to get done and out of here is that guy, which is the Chiron. Yeah, it will be getting a new power supply. The only thing I didn't realize when I ordered the RSP, I think it's RSP, the 600 watt main well, is the AC input terminals are on the opposite side of the output. So I will have to, I'm probably going to extend the DC lines rather than extend the AC lines. So we'll keep the AC lines inside the printer. But it's definitely going to need some printed parts to make it work. The power supply will be good in terms of rating and output and everything. But yeah. I don't have too much news for you today. I'm actually playing around with. I think we'll just make it officially the start of the stream. We'll have some news stuff, and I do want to kind of aggregate some news from the 3D printing community and industry, and kind of open with that so you guys can stay up to date and give you a chance to post questions in chat for me to answer. So. The only real thing I do have is what we posted last night, which is the EasyBoard NeoPixel adapter plug-on. So we have a plug and play, no soldering involved for the Easy Neo strips. If you have an EasyBoard V1, we're not able to get the voltage regulators that we use on there anymore, and we're just going to not be making those. So if you want to get a plug-in adapter for your EasyBoard V1 to run either our Easy Neos or just other NeoPixels in general, whatever we have on the site is all we have. Last time I checked stock, I'll check it right now. I think we had like 40 of them left. Let's see how many we have left right now. But basically, those chips, if we can find them, they're like over $10 a piece, and the retail on that product is $5. We're basically selling them at cost. So we will not be getting those in again. Let's see, how many do we have? I got 38 left in stock of those Easy Neo power modules for the EasyBoard V1. So once those are gone, the only other way to run an Easy Neo strip off of the V1 EasyBoard would be to use the universal power adapter. We will plan on keeping that stock because we can actually get those. We can still get those, and yeah, we just can't keep making those. They're too costly to make, so we're just going to discontinue them. I'm really surprised that they didn't sell out, because we have over 4,500 EasyBoard V1s out in the wild. Griffin and I were talking about that, and we're like, how many do we actually sell? I ran a report. It's over 4,500 of those boards. So, and I think we only got about 200 of those adapters in. So, yeah, anyways, Mike, that's a good question. Do the Easy Neos work with the EasyBoard 2.0 without the adapter? Yes, the EasyBoard 2.0 will have that circuitry built into it. Yeah, you will not need that adapter board for the new 2.0 board. That's one of the things we're integrating onto it. So it will have its own onboard 5-volt regulator that will be more than capable of powering 2 Easy Neo strips. So it will have the same header. So, but the board is to facilitate plug-and-play installation, no soldering, like what I showed with the Ender 6, where we solder up that little universal power adapter. That will be an option for the V1 once these boards are out of stock. But, it involves soldering. This EasyBoard V1 adapter allows you to literally just plug it in, connect the cable, and plug everything in. There's zero soldering involved if you have a EasyBoard V1 with that NeoPixel adapter. So, yeah, once those are gone, the only other option would be to actually use the universal power adapter. So, any updates when the V2 is coming out? They're in production right now. I just approved 200 of them to get moving through production. So, yeah. Anyways, hopefully, knock on wood, pending no issues, I would expect us to have them towards the end of the month, early next month. We didn't want to rush things through. I don't want to put out something that's not tested. Testing went a little bit longer than I thought, but I'd rather be thorough. So, let's see. What questions do we have here? Yeah, I don't have too much. I don't think I have too many updates. My Ender 6 is chugging along. I'm just looking around here. Yeah, I don't really have much of anything left to talk about today. But yeah, let's see what questions we have in chat. You guys need to post questions in chat right now. I do have a question for you guys though, and we did send out a survey to our email list, and it does look like there is interest to do a pre-order for the EasyBoard V2s. I'm not personally a fan of pre-orders because, especially these days with all these production delays and price hikes, and shipping delays, if I say, hey, it could be 2 to 3 weeks and ends up being 4 to 5, I feel bad. I'm just checking the responses. So let's see what our responses. So we had 51% of people, so it's about 148 people, 51% of people that responded to the survey said yes, they are going to purchase an EasyBoard V2 when it's launched. 26% said maybe, and 23% said no. And then 61%, so that's 170 people, said that they would do a pre-order if we made it available. So the pre-order would basically be like ordering a normal product. We would just place the order on hold until we get them in. I don't foresee the price changing. We're sticking with the $129.99 price. That's cutting into our margins quite a bit, but I don't want to push the price up any higher. Like I said, the thing that sucks about the new V2 board is this was supposed to be cheaper for us to make and cheaper for you to buy before all the silicon shortage stuff happened, but now the cost is about 20% higher on our end than the V1 board. So things are just messed up. I could rant about that for a while, but we're not going to. Yeah. So yeah, my plan with the pre-order would just be to stock 200 of them, update the product listing to, in big bold letters, specify this is a pre-order, what the estimated lead time would be, and that this lead time could change. You know, ideally, I'd like to say 2 to 3 weeks we should have them in. It could be more. I don't have a why am I blanking out? I don't have a crystal ball. I can be optimistic, but my optimism has been severely cut down over the last year and a half. But I will say, and I'm going to give you guys this because there are still some usages left. I did drop a 20% off on our Easy Neo lighting kits that we put on the Under 6 yesterday, and there's still a couple usages left. So if you want to pick up the Easy Neos, you can use the code EasyNeo 20% off, and that will take 20% off the Easy Neo kits. All right, let's move into questions and stop talking about myself. Hopefully you guys have questions in here. Let's see here. I'm scrolling back up. Mike V is the first one. Not really, I guess it's 3D printing related, and I might know a thing about this. Mike V, anybody have the Unified Dream Machine Pro with a 24-port switch? And Octoprint will work in the Dream Machine switch, but not the 24-port switch. I haven't had an issue, so our network setup here is 100% Ubiquiti products. So we have their Dream Machine Pro, we have all their switches. I've got all sorts of different switches from them. We run our Octoprints. I have Octoprint setups in here on my main network. I have Octoprint setups on the shop network. I haven't had any issues with them not working. I mean, are you able to ping the device? Because that would be the first thing I would check. You know, are they getting an IP? 1, are they getting an IP address? 2, if they are you able to ping it? If they're not getting an IP address, it sounds like maybe you have your ports configured incorrectly. Unified does have settings. I don't know if you're running one VLAN or multiple VLANs. I'm running multiple VLANs, so I have all my uplink ports between the switches tagged with the appropriate VLANs, so they get, you know, trunked over. And then I have my access ports set to untagged on the appropriate ports. So, like, for example, TH3D, I think it's on, like, VLAN 100. My local network is using the default VLAN 1. And then, so all my access ports on the company network are untagged on VLAN 100. And I do have inter-VLAN routing set up for specific IP addresses. Basically, my personal net can talk to the company net, but not vice versa. So, yeah, it sounds like either a switch port configuration issue where maybe, you know, you're not trunking things correctly, or it's not provisioned correctly. You know, all else fails, I would probably default the switch, you know, remove it from your Unified controller, factory reset it, readopt it, and just double check that your switch ports themselves are provisioned correctly. Let me see here. Let me see if I pull up my my Unify control panel, if this is of any help. I don't think I'll really divulge anything proprietary or you know, that would be bad. Let's see here. So I can just show you what my port setup looks like. Let's see here. So they have switch port profiles, and I am using the older interface. The new interface, I like it for some stuff, but other stuff it just doesn't work well. So here's all my devices here. You can see I have my devices on a separate management VLAN, aside from the IP address is my default gateway for my private network. But so here, so they go, I don't really have anything plugged in. I don't actually have anything plugged in directly to my UniFi. So you can see here, I've got nothing on the UDM Pros ports. I've got my I've got my internet uplinks here. I got my backup. This is my 5G T-Mobile backup, and this is my Comcast modem, which is on a 2.5 gig Ethernet. The SFP is a 10 gig, but it also supports 2.5, so that's why it's showing 10 gig uplink. So, but you can see here, I've got a 10 gig uplink from my UDM Pro to my 48 port. I believe that's a Pro switch, but that's all I have. So I don't actually have anything plugged in. I don't have anything plugged in directly to my UDM Pro. It goes right to a master switch. So if we go here, SW, this should be house basement. Yeah, this is the Pro 48 PoE. You can see I have a bunch of devices here. So I've got my IP cameras here. I've labeled them, and you can see I've got uplinks here for my access points, and then here's the uplink to my UDM. This is a 5G port going to my server, and then this is going to my 24 port Pro in the garage. Now, the one thing here, if I look at these, you can see I have them provisioned with different port profiles. So you can see here I have an all switch port profile, and that is untagged on VLAN 1, and everything else is tagged. So all my other VLANs are tagged. So basically, you should have a profile. I believe this is the default one. Your uplink between your UDM Pro and your switch should be untagged on your default VLAN, and then if you have any other VLANs, those should be tagged, and you should do the same thing. So if I switch over to the UDM Pro, you'll see this port is also using the all switch port profile. So, and you can see here I have other ones. I have other ones here, other profiles. So like if I put a port on the TH3D main, that will then make that port untagged on VLAN 100, and then nothing else. So you can see the networks here. So you have all the different stuff. But yeah, you can see you can also define custom switch port profiles. So like here, TH3D switch uplinks. This has the TH3D business network untagged, and I believe it has the IP cameras tagged because I do have IP cameras on untagged ports on the switches out there, because all the IP cameras are on their own VLAN, whether they're in the house or in the shop. And I can show you that here. So if I go to, this is my main switch, switch 1, you can see here I have IP cameras here, and then I also have here my just regular what's the word I'm looking for, just regular switch ports, and these are on the TH3D profile, so they're untagged on 100. So basically, no one can plug in out there and get access to my network here in the house. It's all isolated, so there's no physical ports that are exposing my private home network. So yeah, it's, I don't know what your issue would be, but basically just standard troubleshooting should be followed for, you know, your network. It sounds like there's some sort of port provisioning issue either on the switch side itself or on the port that's uplinking to the switch. So, but I have nothing plugged in other than my main switch to the UDM Pro itself. So I don't think it'd be a UniFi issue. It's probably a configuration issue. You know, if you don't have a fancy setup, maybe there's some weird glitch with your UniFi controller. Blow it away and start fresh and see if it still works. Otherwise, I mean, I've been using UniFi for 10 years now, and I've actually never contacted their support. So I don't know if their support's good or not. I've used their products and they just work. But I know some people have had issues with them. Knock on wood, UniFi stuff or Ubiquity stuff has been pretty solid for me. All right, so who's the next question here? Let's see. I think that would be Luis. And he says, so I've been printing more often and the extruder entrance is full of plastic shreds. Is it normal? And it is squeaky. Now, should I get a new extruder or stepper for it? So if it's full of plastic shreds, it could be multiple things. If it's on the drive gear itself, that typically means that you're getting backups in your hot end and it's failing to feed, so it's grinding through. And eventually, some extruders, they might grind for a sec, but then they'll eventually push through. And you might not even notice it unless it's on like on an outside wall where under extrusion presents itself. I do not think that it's normal to have shreds of plastic unless it's something that is a case where your filament is rubbing up against something. You know, on the Ender 3, the Ender 3 is notorious for this, and I have guide arms that kick the filament out. So the Ender 3, your filament mounts on the top left of the machine if you're looking at it. And that angle is very steep, and especially with the stock plastic extruder, the filament will actually wear through the arm. And it will eventually wear through the metal arm over time. It just takes a lot longer. So what I've done is I'll kick the filament out with like a little arm that's printed, and you feed that through, and it puts it in at a more gradual angle. Basically look and see how your filament is. If it's rubbing anywhere, try to move your filament around so it's being fed in a way that it's not putting pressure where the filament's going to be scraping on the edge of something. Because that can also cause issues too. You know, if you got enough drag, that could also present itself as under extrusion problems. One other little hack I've done too, especially if you're using like a filament sensor and you have that steep angle, is take a little cut off of PTFE, okay, and feed the filament through that before you put it into the extruder, and that kind of forces it to stay in a more gradual bend because there's not enough tension being put on there from that angle to bend the PTFE itself. So there's a couple of workarounds for stuff like that. Let's see. V-Rich says, love watching the upgrade vids. You put a 50-watt heater in a stock thermocouple. Well, I put in a stock hot end. That's a thermistor, not a thermocouple. Use the correct terms. There's thermocouples and thermistors are two different things. V-Rich said, PID tune always with any heater, but doesn't the 50-watt need a PT100 thermocouple to match, or is that only for high temps? It's only for high temps. If you were staying under 290C, your stock thermistor will be fine, which most people don't print past that. Unless you're dealing with really exotic materials, there's really not many normal materials that will require those high of temperatures. Most of your NTC 100K thermistors, which is what comes on most printers, those are the types we sell. Your max rated temp is about 300 if you look up the data sheet on that particular thermistor itself, like the actual component that the wires are soldered to. I recommend 290C because, you know, just because it can go up to 300, it doesn't have headroom to go to 305. You know, I prefer to derate things a little bit, and 290 is a pretty safe zone for that. But yeah, like a PT100 thermocouple, I believe those are rated up to 350C. I think Slice Engineering has some thermistors that don't require like an amplifier board, because thermocouples will typically need an amplifier board. They can't just plug right into your control board unless it has a built-in thermocouple amplifier. But Slice Engineering has a 450C thermistor, and that gets really hot. And it can handle those higher temps, but that also needs a different definition in Marlin. But yeah, if you're not putting the higher temps with the 50-watt, going from a 40-watt to a 50-watt, or even a 30-watt to a 50-watt, that's a big jump. What that's going to do is give you quicker heat up times, and if you're really starting to push it, it's going to allow it to keep up with the heat demands as you're pushing filament through it. So, you know, the 40-watt heaters will work for 90% of people, probably more than that. I don't think it's a must-have. I just put it on machines that I know I'm going to be pushing a little harder, because the 50-watt, you know, that extra 10 watts really gives it extra oomph to keep up when you're pushing plastic through it. So, let's see. If we did a pre-order on an easy board, it would be just like your order. So you pay the full amount now, and we just put the order on hold until we got them in. So, Justin Dybella. Yeah, silicon chip production is printed to start ramping up again in 2023. Yeah, I saw that. So we got another year of this bullshit. Um, yeah. Try not to rant. Michael Christinger, what are the benefits of upgrading your printer's board, Corelli 422 to an easy board? The main thing I like is that the easy board has control over the drivers. Like when I was messing around with, on the Ender 6, for example, I was getting step loss on the E because of that giant motor. If I had an easy board in there, I'd be able to just go to the LCD and turn the current up to give it more current. Whereas I literally had to flip the printer up with power on, take a screwdriver and a multimeter and measure it to adjust the current. That's a really big plus in my book, because if you are having step loss, it's painless. You literally just go to the LCD. Oh, are my motors running too hot? Okay, well, if your motors running too hot, you got to lower the VREF, which lowers the current. Well, get into your printer, get the multimeter out, and get the screwdriver if you got one of the Creality boards. Whereas with the Easy Board, just go on your LCD and go, okay, I'm going to go advanced settings, TMC drivers, driver current. Oh, there's my X driver. Okay, it's at 800. Let me just click that. Oh, let's set it to 700. Oh, the motor's running cooler now. Problem solved. That's a huge plus. You know, the main thing too is being able to switch the drivers in and out of stealth chop mode and spread cycle mode. Even according to Trinamic's own data sheets, they specify that for an extruder motor on your printer, you should be running it in spread cycle mode, not stealth chop, because those stepper drivers are running in what's called standalone mode, meaning there's no control communication happening between the processor of your printer's control board and the drivers. They're just receiving step and direction information. You can't change the mode. So it's stuck in stealth chop mode, which is a low torque mode. Yes, it's quieter than spread cycle, but you're stuck in it. So if you have, your only option is to raise and lower the VREF, which again, you're then flipping the printer up, or, you know, I guess most of them are bottom mounted. You're physically having to adjust it. It's just a huge pain in the ass. The Easy Board specifically, if you have trouble compiling your firmware, I can show you guys right now. I love showing this off because it's something we're very proud of. I worked with a developer named Chip over in Japan to make this a reality, and this is included free of charge. There are some people doing stuff that's kind of like this, but they're charging for it. We provide this at no charge to all of our customers that have Easy Boards. So you got a couple different options. You can edit a configuration H file and then upload it, or you can edit it right on here. And you can see we already have the Easy Board V2 supported in here. So we're ready to go when that starts. So you can edit the file. You guys that have edited your configuration H files, you're probably familiar with this. So I can, oh, I got to enter 3. Oh, I put the Easy Out on there, and I've got the Easy ABL on there. Okay, so I can do this. I'm just going to call this, Tim testing stream 1. So you tag it so you can find it once it's in the compile. I'm going to go ahead and tell it I'm not a robot, and then I'm going to submit it into the queue. Now, that's one way of doing it. The other way is the easy config, which literally is a wizard. So I'm going to do the Ender 3. If you got, the Ender Extender, we do have some options for the Ender Extender. I'm going to go next. I got an Easy ABL. I'm using the OEM mount. I want super fast probing, so I'm going to check that. I'm going to leave all these other options set. Maybe I want fine baby stepping. Sure, why not? So filament sensor, we got an Easy Out. We're going to go next. I'm not going to change any of this. I'm using the stock thermistor on the bed and the hot end. Hit next. These are other options here. So if you want to set your custom E-steps, you can do that. Maybe I got our tough extruder on there. That's 410, and I know I need to reverse my direction. So I'm going to check those options. Hit next. Don't think I need to change anything in here. Oh, wait, I got an Easy Neo, so I'm going to check that. Go ahead and we'll put the Easy Neo in there. And I'm going to hit next. So there we go. And now we've got all our config here. So I'm going to do Tim Testing Stream 2. Tell it I have the Easy Board Lite, which is the version 1. Tell it I'm a robot again, not a robot again, and it puts it in the queue. Now, if I go back here, we can see my firmware is already compiled. I can literally just download the firmware.bin file, put this on my SD card. You guys can't see it. It popped up in the corner. My head's covering it. Literally, it compiles the whole firmware. You could do this from your cell phone. So if you had an SD reader on your cell phone, you could flash your firmware with our EasyBoard in it from your freaking cell phone. And this compiles really quick. You can see this is already done. This server is actually running, this server is running on a 3960X Threadripper with 192 gigabytes of memory. It's a freaking beast. Just to show you how quick, I'm just going to run through and do just a stock CR10 config. And show you how quick this compiles. So, like, I've got an i9 on my desktop. It takes me about 30 to 40 seconds to compile firmware. So if I go here, you'll see it gets entered into a queue. After a couple seconds, it will go from queuing to compiling. The software goes and checks. So now we're in a compiling state. So right now, my server is right now compiling the firmware. I'm just going to refresh this here. After a couple seconds, it'll go and tell me that it's done. Boom. There's my firmware. I didn't have to touch VS Code, didn't have to do anything. Literally just tell it what I have, walk through the wizard, and that's it. If you're a more advanced user, you can also download the file. Oh, Chip, this is broken! Chip! I'll have to let Chip know that that's broken. I'm willing to bet this broke when he did the update. But if you downloaded our firmware, you could just upload the file. There we go. It popped up another window. Upload the file and then have it compile it for you. So, or you can just edit it here. I don't even really know why we have this option, because this is basically the same thing. But you get the idea. It's super fast and it's convenient. If I'm using an EasyBoard, I literally use our firmware site. I do not compile firmware on my computer for our own board. I use our Easy firmware site because it's fast. All right. So yeah. So ease of use with the machine in general, quick firmware compiling. We actually provide tech support for all the products we sell. So if you get an EasyBoard, you have questions during installation, you need help troubleshooting something, you can contact and get a hold of a real person in 1 day or less, instead of having to wait weeks on getting a reply from Creality if you even get one. And we actually know what we're talking about. So yeah. Felix, you've tried any DIY printers? If not, would you like to? Voron RatRig VZBot. So, after my experiences in the Voron Discord, I will never build a Voron. I'm not going to give them any positive press on here, but I have been looking at the RatRig, and what's his name? Dusty in our Discord server turned me on to the Jubilee, which is a tool changer printer, which really piques my interest. But realistically, I was looking at the RatRigs. The RatRig, I really like their 3-point bed system with the little ball joint hinges. I think it's really cool. The VZBot I've glanced at. I haven't really seriously looked into it, but I was looking at the RatRig one because it does look really nice. So, let's see. KY Guns and Radio says, what are specs on the fan inside a Meanwhile 24 volt 350 watt? Is it 12 volts? One, I would recommend opening the power supply up and checking, but in my experience, don't come back to me and be like, you lied, it was 24. In my experience, Meanwhile typically uses 12 volt 60 millimeter fans. I believe they're 15 millimeter width. So 12 volt 60 millimeter fans that are 15 millimeters thick in their 350 watt power supplies, and that goes for the 12 and 24. It seems like they use the same fan in both the 12 and 24, but again, take the lid off, and it's only like 6 screws, and check to see what yours has before you order a replacement. Maybe they use 24s in some of them. I haven't had any, but better be safe than sorry. Let's see. Jay Smaller, what is the advantage of running Octoprint when the 3D printer is next to my computer? You can shut your computer down and keep printing. And you're still not having to mess with SD cards. I literally have a printer right here. I have a printer right here. All of my printers are network connected. This one actually has a Duet board, so I am using Duet's web interface on there because it's in the SPC mode. But all of my printers, aside from this guy here, are all running Octoprint. It's very convenient. I love having it as a standalone thing. If you're printing over USB with your computer, if it goes to sleep or if you have a program hang, it can stop that data stream and then your print's shot. Whereas with Octoprint, you have the Pi dedicated to that. Its job is to send data to the printer to make prints. I also love the plugin ecosystem on Octoprint. Like, that's my biggest thing I love about Octoprint is the plugin ecosystem. There's so many awesome plugins on there, and they make it a lot better user experience. Anthony Avila, will the V2 boards work for the Solval SVO3? The SVO3 is next on my list to do firmware and other things with. I believe it will because it does have a Creality bolt pattern. But I don't want to be like, yes, it will, because I haven't tested. I have a V2 board right here. I will show you guys this. I'm not going to show the front. I don't want to give away all the specs, but you see what we put on the back of it? You see that? You see what that says there? Yeah. Yeah. Do not add heat sinks. People would do that on the V1. It's like, it doesn't need it. Leave it alone. And they end up like putting the heatsink on crooked and they short out the driver because it's like touching components around it. Our boards are properly engineered. They do not need heat sinks on the drivers. The PCB itself is the heatsink for the drivers. So anyways, yeah, there's literally 5 of these boards in existence right now. I have 2 of them. Apollo in our Discord server has another one, and then Griffin has the other 2. And this one will be going in one of my printers here as a permanent home for it. The other one is in the test machine over there. So let's see. All right, I'm looking here. I lost my position here. Okay, there we go. We're back. So I just was talking to Anthony about the SVO3. The answer is it should work. I want to confirm it before. Yes, it will. Basically, if it's got a Creality bolt hole pattern for the mounting of the board and the USB port and the SD slot, the Easy board should bolt right up in there. But I don't have firmware done for it. It will be tested, and I will post an update when we get it officially supported. RMLs, I've got a tough extruder, but no pancake stepper. Do you think the stock stepper from the Ender 5, if you have an Ender 5, like a regular Ender 5 and even a 5 Plus, and you're using a geared extruder, the stock motors are fine. Unless Creality switched it out for this thing. Like, look at the size of this. This is the E-motor from my Ender 6. Like, this thing weighs a ton. Like, just spinning this, you can feel how heavy this spindle is versus another motor that's shorter. I think I have a Creality E-motor. I mean, to give you an idea, that's the size of a normal Creality E-motor. This isn't actually a Creality one, but this is the same dimensions. So, these are fine for geared extruders, whether it's our Tough extruder, a Titan, a Bondtech, these are fine. The main reason people will go pancake steppers is when they're doing direct drive to reduce how much this weighs. But you do not need to change this out for a pancake, especially if you're not doing direct drive. You can if you want to, but it's not needed. Don't waste your money. But yeah, that thing is a chunk. How often do brass nozzles need to be replaced? Alex asks. We have actually set a maintenance schedule now for our printers in the print farm. We replace them whether they need to or not every year. Basically, if you're not getting clogs in it, you haven't run abrasive filament through it, abrasive being carbon fiber, metal fills, glow in the darks, run the nozzle until you start having issues and change it when you have issues. We have found, though, that changing our nozzles out every year, whether they need to or not, has resulted in better print quality. So they do wear out, but if you're an average home user, you're probably fine just replacing it until you start having print quality issues. To give you an idea, our machines in the print farm, they run upwards of 20 hours a day, 5 days a week minimum. So they are heavily used. So if you're not printing that much, just change it when you start having print quality issues. So, Louise, is the 50-watt heater cartridge a good upgrade, and should I switch to an all metal? or should I switch to an all-metal hot end for it? I think it's a good upgrade. I don't think it's needed. I think it's just more of a creature comfort of, hey, I want my hot end to get to temp quicker, and if you start pushing it, you got a little more headroom to do that. I've talked about this before. One of the workarounds are if you're trying to get more speed out of your printer, but you start getting under extrusion, you can bump the temp up 10 to 20 C hotter to compensate for the block being smaller by running it at a higher temperature. So basically, because the filament's getting exposed to the heat in a shorter amount of time, you can make it melt faster by bringing the actual block temperature up higher so it melts quicker. That's something I've worked around on printers that, oh, I just want to print faster for this one print. It's not a regular thing I do on this printer. You know, I don't think, is it a recommended upgrade? Recommended is something when I say the term recommended upgrade, it's something I feel is like a must-have. And I don't think the 50-watt heater cartridge is a must-have. I think stuff like filament sensors and, you know, ABL systems like our Easy ABL, I think those are a must-have. I would probably also put flex plate systems in a must-have because they're just such a quality of life improvement. I don't think the 50-watt heater cartridge is a must-have. You know, it's a nice-to-have thing. You know, you're not going to improve your print quality by going from a 40 watt to a 50 watt. You're just going to get quicker heat up times. You have a little more headroom when you really start pushing things. That's about it. It's not like, oh my God, this is life changing. I'm not going to sell you stuff and be like, oh yeah, it's definitely going to be amazing. Just put it in. Oh, totally worth the money. No, it's a nice to have thing. It's not necessary. I figured on the Ender 6, I want to run a dedicated. What the hell was that? It's okay. I must be seeing shit. Yeah. Anyways, let's see. Manuel Ramirez. Oh wait, sorry. John Santiago's next. Any tips for fixing a stripped out stepper motor mounting hole? Found something called helicoil thread repairs. May try that. Bought a replacement motor. Would like to salvage the old one since it's good. I have heard about that helicoil stuff. I've never used it. Basically, if you strip a screw hole out, your main way to fix it would be to re-tap it to the next size up, which would be M4. But I haven't tried that helicoil stuff. I've heard of it. I have not tried it. Do they make something that size? I know it's like a wire insert thing. What keeps making noise? Something keeps making noise. Are you guys hearing that, or am I going nuts? Maybe it's my phone. Anyways, Manuel Ramirez. I'm looking at the EasyBoard V2, but I also like to install Clipper. Do you know if it's going to be compatible? So we officially, as a company, will not provide tech support for Clipper because it's so advanced and rapidly changing. We do not want to have that support burden. So if you are expecting technical support on the EasyBoard V2, it's only supported with the Unified 2 firmware, which is Marlin. That being said, the guy Apollo in our Discord server, he's like a Clipper wizard. He has that board because he's building a example config and testing the EasyBoard V2 with Clipper. So the only thing is, I'm going to be honest with you guys. If you buy an EasyBoard V2 and you want to use Clipper on it, you can, but we will not provide technical support for Clipper just because of how complicated it is. And mainly the fact that they're changing stuff all the time. It's a very rapidly developed firmware. I would definitely consider Clipper a bleeding edge type thing. But we're not going to be like, no, you cannot run Clipper on it. If you buy a product, my whole thing is if you buy something, it's yours. You can do whatever you want with it. Now, the companies can also say, well, we're only going to support this, this, and this. Like if I buy, what's it called? Like if I buy someone else's plug, from Amazon and I want to put Tasmota on there, they can go, no, we're only supported with our firmware. We do the same kind of stuff with ours. Now, we do ship with Tasmota and we provide source, but one of those things is you have to be using our firmware to get tech support. And the main reason we do this is because we know that our firmware is properly set up. Because we are not a Clipper shop, we are heavily Marlin. We are not officially supporting Clipper. So, but that being said, as far as I know, the EasyBoard V2 should work with Clipper. And that's why we sent it out to a guy that knows what he's doing with Clipper, because I don't have time to play with Clipper. So, and he's also going to be putting that board through some torture tests as well. Alan Kilgore's at 50-15 versus 40-20 fans. All their variables being equal, which is best for airflow and noise? I want to say, because I've used both, I definitely prefer the 50-15s, and the reason I prefer the 50-15s and why we sell 50-15s in full disclosure is because typically your community designed mounts for different hot end setups and aftermarket upgrades for layer fan cooling, most people go with 50-15s because it's a very common size. 40-20s can be harder to find, which is, I think, another reason the 50-15 is a very popular size. I don't think there's any plus or negative if you have a mount that's going to work and physically accept that fan. I think at that point it's personal preference. Me, I personally prefer the 50-15s because that seems to be the most widely supported fan for community provided hot end mounts with aftermarket layer fan or aftermarket layer cooling. Mike V said, I reran the installation of EasyABL. It keeps saying open and Octoprint. M119 reran installation video, it keeps crashing in the bed. Well, if you're not getting M119, you should not be homing. We do specify this in the installation guide because if M119 is not showing triggered, that means it's not getting the signal back. Now, a couple of things could be causing that. One, you could just need to flip the little switch on the board. I don't know if you have the EasyABL or the EasyABL Pro, but the Pro has a switch on the board. I knew I saw one in here. Oh, wait, this is a parts one. It's missing stuff. Here we go. So on the EasyABL Pro, there's this little switch right here. If it's in the up position and you're not getting M119, flip it down. If it's down and you're not getting it, flip it up. That will reverse the wiring going to the Opto-IC isolation circuit. If you do that, and no matter what position you flip the switch in, and you're still not getting M119, then that usually indicates that there's an issue with the wiring between this board and your control board. So you should, now this is all covered in the installation guide, so I'm not going to go too far into it because you should be reading the installation guide. But this replaces your ZN stop on most installations. The only installation this does not replace the ZN stop on is the Anycubic Chiron. Every other printer, though, that this is supported on, this replaces your ZN stop. So you should have your two wires going from either the screw terminal on this board or the 3-pin JST back to your control board. So we have seen people, I don't know how, but we have seen people where they plug the cable from here into their ZN stop. So there's no connection between this and the control board. But yeah, our guides are very detailed, and it's probably something dumb. So, without seeing it, you should probably just contact our support and send them pictures of everything and see what's going on, because maybe you missed something. Let's see. Akuma, surprised you didn't go to Rapid TCT conference. Yeah, I didn't. I don't know. It seems neat, but I have too much other stuff going on. Lewis is asking for recommendations on IDEX printer. I'm going to defer to chat for that because I do not own any IDEX printers, and I'm not going to give recommendations on stuff I haven't personally tested. Randy Foster, are you going to be in a video on the all-metal hot end upgrade for the Ender 6? I am not, because I just put a whole new hot end system on there that uses the stock hot end. But in general, and this is for any printer, if you want to change the hot end out to something like a V6 or a Mosquito or whatever, all you need is a mount to print, to bolt to the stock X plate or the X carriage, and then attach that hot end into said carriage and then do the wiring. Let's see. I am going to have to wrap this up because we're coming up on the 5-hour or the 1 hour mark, and I do have a bunch of other stuff to get done before my meeting at 6. All right, this is where was I at here? Why can I not find? Okay, here we go. Chris Woods, I just finished upgrading SKR2 and a BL Touch. I can't seem to get it work correctly. Anyone else has issues with it? Tried everything with firmware, nothing seems to help. Well, in general, if you're having issues with any ABL sensor, you should check a couple things. One, make sure you're connecting things to the right headers on the board. And two, the BL Touch specifically in the Marlin menu, if you're using Marlin with it, there is an option to deploy and stow and test the probe. You should try that and make sure the communication between the board and the probe is properly working. The only issue I'm aware of the SKR2s was that issue where they swapped that chip and they were blowing people's drivers out, but I haven't seen anything where the BL Touch doesn't work. You know, rule things out, hook it up to another board that you know works. I'm assuming you probably have another control board laying around. Hook your BL Touch up to it, even if it's just on the bench with a screen hooked up. See if it works on there. If it does, then you can rule out if the probe is bad or not. So, and hopefully you're using a real BL Touch and not one of those crappy knockoffs that infringes on Ant Clab's patent. Let's see here. Kenneth's saying stealth chop versus other modes. So basically, when you have trinamic drivers, you have two main modes you run in. There's stealth chop, which is really quiet but low torque, and you have spread cycle, which is quiet but higher torque. So stealth chop is what most people run their X, Y, and even Z in, and that's the quietest option. However, the reason it's quieter is because it's lower torque. So basically, stealth chop should be used on your X, Y, and Z, and spread cycle should be used on your E. There will be more of an audible sound coming from your printer, but it's still doing the interpolation from 1/16 stepping mode up to 256. So that just by nature is going to be quieter, but you might get kind of like a noise, like a very faint noise when the extruder is turning, and that's just how it is, just how things operate with them. But it's still way quieter than your standard stepper driver. So, you know, the goal is with the Trinamics, run your stealth chop on your X and Y, those make the most noise, and then put the E motor in spread cycle mode so you get more torque, because your extruder needs a lot of torque. You know, it's shoving a little piece of plastic through a tiny little orifice. It needs torque to make that move. Now, you can sometimes run stealth chop on the E, but it is not recommended. I don't recommend it personally. And Trinamic, if you look at their data sheet, if you want to yell and scream at me, tell me, well, I do it and you're wrong. Look at Trinamic's data sheet. They're the one that make the drivers, and they specifically say, do not use stealth chop for extruder motors on printers. It's in the data sheet for the 2208 and the 2209. So if you want to tell someone they're wrong, go ahead and tell the company that actually makes the driver that their own data sheet's wrong. I think they know what they're talking about. But yeah, I've had just random step loss with running stealth chop on extruders. You know, it'll be fine for like 90% of the print. All of a sudden I'll start getting under extrusion. I prefer to just run in spread cycle and not have to worry about it. The noise really isn't that bad. Some people are too picky. The reality is your 3D printer is a machine. It's going to make noise. It's just how it is. It's going to make noise. All right, I am going to start wrapping things up. Let me see if there's any other quick questions. Let's see. Randy Fawcett, what else should you be doing in the Ender 6? For now, I'm done messing with it. I'm more of the mindset now of I will upgrade things when stuff breaks, which is what I did with the Ender 6. So occasionally I will be like, I want to mess with this printer, but that's few and far between. I've been doing this for over 3 years now. I just want to use the machines and make stuff. So, you know, there's that honeymoon period. There's like the first year or two where you're like, wanting to mess with things and change everything out. And at a certain point, you're just like, yeah, I'm done. I'll put my few little upgrades on there, and then I'm not overhauling the damn thing. So, Redline, EasyFlow MK8.6 nozzle restock. They're on the way. I wish I can give you a solid ETA. They are ordered. I ordered them like 2 weeks ago. So hopefully soon. But yeah, who knows? Basically what happens is we put orders in with our suppliers. I don't hear from them for, you know, in terms of the order status. I don't hear from them. All of a sudden a tracking number shows up, and then within a couple days the order shows up here. What are we printing for the Glock? I'm not printing anything. I haven't gotten into printing any firearm stuff. I do want to, but time. One of my guys here, he has a ton of 3D printed guns, and they're freaking awesome. He's got more balls than I do. I'm still kind of sketched out about 3D printing, like, lowers and stuff. I got this little guy from my buddy Joe. It's a 34. So, Anyways, I don't want to talk about it too much. YouTube doesn't like talking about those kind of things, even though I'm in America. All right, so Ben, why do you send 12 and 24 volt heater cartridges and the hot end cooling fans with the tough hot end? Wouldn't it be cheaper for the company and the customer if we selected both versions needed? Surprisingly, we're talking like $1 difference at cost. So no, to simplify our product SKUs, we just said, you know what, let's just include both. I'm not going to sweat $1. It's that simple. Because also, think about it, people don't read. And we did have it where we had 2 separate SKUs for our hot ends where there was a 12 volt option and a 24 volt option. And then people would order the 12 for their 24 volt printer, or they order the 24 volt for the 12 volt printer. And then we get people yelling and screaming at us. It's way easier to just send both, especially when we're buying in such quantity that it literally costs us an extra $1 to just include both. We also include extra thermistors too. I try to add stuff that I would like to have spares in stuff like that. So we send extra nozzles, we send extra thermistors. Yeah. Tim needs to dip his, Harmill says, Tim needs to dip his toes in the Clipper world. I want to. It's just a matter of time. I have so many hours in the day. And, yeah, I work a lot. Let's see. All right. What was the answer for the giveaway? I don't know what you mean, Justin 3D, but we're coming up on the hour. I'm sorry if I didn't get to anybody anybody's questions. Well, there's a quick question. Bob Euler, can your flex plate be trimmed to size? Unless you can cut steel, no. Anyways, I hope you guys learned something on this stream. That's my goal here. That's why I do this stuff. I do enjoy doing streams. Sometimes I'm kind of bleh, just because I've been burnt out from the day. But I do genuinely enjoy sharing information and helping people fix their problems. So just remember, if you guys do purchase anything from us, you need help with that product, you know, unlike other companies that will just, you know, ghost you, we will actually support the stuff we sell. So make sure if you purchase anything, you have questions, even if you think it's stupid. Our guys handle tons of stupid questions every day. Better be safe than sorry. So make sure you guys are taking advantage of our support. That's one of the things we are known for here at TH3D. Appreciate you guys stopping by. We do these streams every day at 5 p.m. Central and 5 p.m. Central on Wednesdays and Fridays. Today we moved it up because we have a meeting at 6 o'clock that I don't want to be late to. So hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I'm going to give our good little pooch his dingo stick. He already knows. Look at him. He's like, oh, I know that bag. I know that bag. Any bag that sounds like this, if you have food, the human food, he perks up because he's associated that sound with treats, haven't you? Come here. Come over here. Sit. You shake. He knows the drill. Let's try it. Let's switch it up. Touch. No, you actually have to touch my hand. Touch. Okay, sit. Shake. 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 Touch. Okay, you've earned it. There we go. You got to switch it up because otherwise he figures out the pattern. If he knows I go sit, shake, touch, he'll just start doing it. They're not dumb. He's a little too smart. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. Hope you learned something. As always, happy printing. I'll see you guys on the next one.